Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jeff. Today, I want to talk about a topic, and that is how I was able to not even pass my classes to becoming an engineer. To give you guys a little bit of background, one of my biggest problems in school was honestly just not knowing how to learn things. For the longest time, I thought I was like probably dumber or slower than some of the other kids or my classmates or my peers. But it wasn't until I was actively pursuing software engineering that I realized that I had no idea how to learn anything. Um, this became a challenge for me that I honestly took me a while to overcome, and I feel like I could probably write an entire book about this entire topic. But today, I'm just going to give you a few important tips that I am going to start things off with, and if you guys think this is helpful, I can keep on going in this topic. All right, tip number one. This is going to sound really simple, but I realized that the traditional way of learning simply was not working for me. Let me explain. I'm not saying that school and classes are bad, but they might just work better for some other folks, and I just personally wasn't one of them. All right. For example, I remember just being lost sitting in the classroom. I remember forcing myself to take notes, and I remember that almost became a distraction, just sitting there and listening to the professor. They would explain a topic, I would miss a part of it, and that alone would just send me into a spiral of just not knowing where I was and frantically trying to write down all the notes. Man, I wish this was something I would have learned a lot sooner how to not do. So, what I kind of do now instead, whenever I'm facing a situation where it's in a student teacher format, I think of it as a space that I'm introduced the topic, kind of like a movie trailer, instead of a place that I have to like essentially learn the entire topic from right off the bat. This way, it puts me into a mindset that I have to go out and watch, or AKA learn the topic on my own. I know this sounds kind of painful and maybe it sounds like there's more work for you to be done here, but trust me, you got to hear me out on this one, because as soon as I put myself in that mindset, you realize that the whole world is essentially your teacher rather than just that one classroom or one book that you're zoned in on when you're in that uh, lecture setting. Because it was up to me instead, afterwards, to be able to learn the topic. I realized that I can learn the topic however I see fitting. For example, I love cars, right? And I always watch random car videos on YouTube and that kind of stuff. How motors work or that kind of stuff. And instead of learning it in the traditional classroom setting, I would just search after a while how I search videos as how I'd search up car videos, or any interest of mine, and replace that with that math topic or computer science course that I was taking at the time. I kind of think of it like this: when you're reliant on a single teacher, a single book, or a single course, that's just essentially one in a million variations or combinations in this world of learning that one topic. I mean, you could literally go down this to the next school over or the next course over or even later in the day, and that's another variation of that course. Only putting all your effort into one basket to me makes absolutely no sense. That's like me watching only one YouTuber and not being willing to watch other reviewers, that kind of stuff on engine designs, that kind of stuff, or whatever it may be. So this one tip is just you got to be creative. Your goal is to learn the material or to pass the test. Your goal isn't to learn exactly from that professor. Find the space and the different combinations of ways to learn those things. Nothing is stopping you from watching a video at 2x speed, watching a math video, stopping it, starting it, or even watching 20 different variations of them until you find one that fits your needs. Rather than just betting on one teacher or a 30 pages on a textbook, you got to be creative and understand that there's other variations and combinations out there that can help you learn the material, and approaching it that way will set you up pretty far. Okay, tip number two. This is kind of a segment to tip number one, and I think you guys can see where I'm going with this. But you got to be able to build up a tool set for learning. Honestly, my construction job helped me so much with this, and I realized that there's so many times that I was trying to learn things without any personal tools or very little tools. I was like going into uh, I was going into some of the topics just with the bare bones of whatever the teacher offered me, and I just had nothing, to come at the table when I was taking these courses or learning the new material. And I'll even give you a kind of an embarrassing example. So I pretty much read at a high school level. Growing up in bad areas, they didn't really have an opportunity for me to build up my reading skills. And till this day, I probably still can't read really well just because my tool set is so sharpened, that I was able to make up the lack I had in my reading ability even till this day. But before I had all those skills, I would basically just try to read the textbook or the docs or whatever my teacher said or the notes I wrote down, and I was basically trying to bring like IKEA screwdriver to go fix like a Alaska airplane or something like that. And for me, the discovery, for example, of watching YouTube videos or self-guided courses, became buying, bringing or buying a heavy duty drill to replace that IKEA screwdriver when taking the class. Over time, I pretty much found YouTubers and for each topic that I was trying to learn, or websites or self-guided courses that I could bring to the table, especially when I was learning computer science on my own. But more importantly, because I knew that I could have more than one tool, I began thinking about how I was going to learn this before I even began my course. So basically, when I knew I didn't just have to use the default tools from that lesson, I got better over time in searching what I needed in Google. So to even find the right tool if I didn't currently have it, it was kind of like, it's kind of like going to Home Depot, for example, and just being more comfortable. The more you go to the store and finding the things you need for that project. So just keep a mental checklist of the things that did work once you start being creative, and you'll realize that you'll be building up your own set of skills and things that work for you and things that don't work for you. And I promise you, later on, other ideas that you find similar, or other courses that are similar, you'll be able to apply previous tools to use for that future project. All right, tip number three. You guys are gonna hate this, but you gotta realize that you probably simply weren't putting in enough time to learn something. In reality, I remember uh, in reality you can definitely get better at learning how to learn something, and it'll help you a lot, and using all the tips and tricks will shortcut that experience. But things are still going to need to take time. You got to remember that it's almost always usually more it always is always more time than you usually think. You're going to absolutely be real with yourself in that how in that you got to see how much effort you're putting in. I remember being so mad at myself for not being able to pass some of my classes in college, and man, there was like some courses that I legitimately failed 3 times. I think back and I realized I didn't even put in the amount of time, and I think it's because I saw the normal amount of time that I thought I needed, and in a best case scenario, I probably could have got it done and learned it in that time frame, or a normal student would be able to, but I wasn't even currently there yet. So it did need double or even triple the time that it would take somebody else to learn the topic. And being honest with yourself is completely okay. Recognizing that is extremely important right off the bat. And honestly, it wasn't until I was learning programming on my own that I realized that, hey, it's okay to take a few days to learn something really simple, like even like a for loop or that kind of thing. All right, I'm gonna end it with this. Man, I know you guys can do it. I know you can do it because I was once in your shoes, and I know how hard it is. But I also know it is possible. It will get easier if you keep pushing yourself, and know that you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket or teacher, or one single way of learning the topic. Let me know what you guys think as always. And if you guys don't have anything, I'll see you guys on the next one. Laters.